I'd like to welcome you all to this overview of the workshop that I've been working on. The workshop is called Let's Fucking Grow. I started it in January of 2023. We've done 3 rounds so far, and everyone that's taken it has told me that they've already seen differences in their daily lives, and that words that they use and the thoughts that they think on a regular basis are vastly different than they were before we started the workshop. I personally have had so much growth over the last year and a half. And it has to do more with the people that take the workshop than me teaching it, because it's a back and forth, and I actually take the workshop with you. So I'm not just leading it. I do all the practices with you because I want to grow as well, right? So I've had quantum leaps in my learning because of all of the input that people have been giving me over the last year and a half. And just to give you an idea of what Base Freak Radio does, at this point, what we're really focused on is creating content with deep meaning. And, as an additive, because we are people from the underground scene, we also do a lot of live events, and we have tons of opportunities for artists of all kinds to use Base Freak Radio as a platform to grow their business, because that's what this is all about. I want to make very clear to everyone up front is that Base Freak Radio is a launch pad and not a place to sit. Our goal is to equip you to go out into the world and make an impact. The 4 elements that we use in order to go through our process in this workshop, the first one is purpose. And the reason why we start with purpose is because purpose really helps us with our internal monologue. So many people, myself included, sometimes just walk around thinking like, do I have a purpose? Why am I here? Am I supposed to do something? And if that's what our internal monologue is, it's not very inspiring, and it doesn't really make us want to move, right? So the more we focus on our purpose, and we go from asking ourselves if we have a purpose to telling ourselves we do have a purpose, eventually our self-confidence goes up. And once our self-confidence goes up, we start to get inspired, and we no longer need external motivation in order to move. When you hear the term like that internal wellspring, or that inspiration that moves, something from within, right? Once it comes from within, it doesn't matter if anything outside is moving or not, because you are doing it from your core. And if our core really does come from the infinite source that created everything, because whether you're religious or spiritual or whatever, bottom line is we're here and something put us here. Whatever you want to call it really doesn't matter. Ultimately, we're here, and if we look at the definition of purpose, it's really simple. Something exists only if it has a purpose, because the purpose is the reason something exists. So if that's true and we exist, that means we have a purpose. So once we really start embodying that, it starts that internal motive, that internal inspiration, where now you're moving and taking action that's inspired, rather than something that's out of desperation and trying to figure something out and hoping that it works. So week 1 is purpose, which helps us with our internal monologue and builds our self-confidence. We also work on words for the first week. And if you're into computer coding, I can give it to you in this kind of language. All computer programs have a code, a language. So once we learn what language we're currently using, now we can figure out what works for us and what doesn't. And we basically become like a game tester. We start testing the game and seeing what part of the program isn't working right. We debug it, we fix it by changing the language, which means your words are going to change. The second week is all about vision and our thoughts. Vision is what helps us build our faith. And what faith does is that it helps us go beyond our current circumstance. And once we develop our vision, or the skill of seeing our vision, now we start to believe our vision more than what's actually in front of us, which strengthens our faith. And if you want to use spiritual terms, your inner peace is no longer dictated by outside circumstances. That's what vision really helps with. The reason why we focus on our thoughts is because our thoughts are what develop our vision. And it's not to say that you're not already good at vision. You're really good at vision. It's just maybe that the vision that you're currently outputting is not the one that you actually prefer. Right? And we really don't know that if we haven't actively been observing our words and thoughts, right? So that's why we're going to be doing this over the next 28 days. And with vision, again, come our thoughts, because our thoughts create our vision. And once our vision is developed enough, where we can start seeing it. Like in my case, my vision is that I see a world where people can have a disagreement. Ultimately, the disagreement is seen more as an opportunity to create a stronger bond with the person and to create a deeper understanding of of a different perspective, rather than talking to somebody in an argumentative sense, trying to prove that we're right and they're wrong. Another part of my vision is where we can all truly believe we all have enough. There's always enough for everybody. All we have to do is look for it. A really good example is if I had a seed in my hand, if I had a mango seed in my hand and I asked you, what do you see? You could give me, two answers that we'll use for this example. One answer is I see a seed. The other answer is I see a mango grove. I see thousands of mango trees with thousands of mangoes. Why? Because you see beyond what is in front of you. And that's what we're going to be talking about. And that's why vision is very important. The next week, which is week 3, we're going to be talking about leadership. I always get a little choked up here, so give me a second. Leadership is just so powerful. All right. So the reason why leadership is important is because we have an organization to take care of. And the first organization that we have charge over is our mind. And our mind is what dictates how we experience our life, right? So that organization is important to be able to lead, because ultimately leadership has nothing to do with followers. It has more to do with finding your purpose. Because once you find your purpose and you develop your vision, your moves become so inspirational that people just start following you. And the interesting part about it is that I've experienced is that while it's cool to have people following you and seeing that you have influence on others, it creates this urge to become better. Leading ourselves and the organization that is our mind. And why leadership is important is because leadership is all about influence and not about manipulation. Once we learn the art of leadership, we start to influence the body. Once we find our purpose and our vision becomes more clear and we can lead ourselves through inspiration, now our actions are going to be in the mindset of being of service to others and adding value to others, right? Because I think this is one of the big issues that people as artists have when it comes to accepting money, is that if we have self-worth issues, we're never going to accept what people want to give us. And I'm sure all of us have at least one example where someone offered us more than we asked for and we said no, and they insisted and we insisted, and it was the universe basically telling us, dog, you're worth this much. When are you just going to accept it? Once you start accepting it, you're going to see how much more you're actually worth, and snowball effect from there, right? And leadership again plays into this, because if we aren't able to influence our body on a consistent basis, then we basically have to manipulate it. Why? Because somewhere along the line, discipline went from an act of demonstration of self-worth to something that's associated with some kind of tyranny or authoritarianism, being held down, being beaten, whatever, some kind of either physical or mental force keeping you where you are, right? And that's what we're going beyond with all of this. And that's why our actions are going to be an indication of our change. We're going to start seeing that we're actually acting less and thinking more, which plays into something that Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about, which is more energy, less matter. We're looking to lead ourselves in such a way that it inspires others to do that for themselves, because what we're demonstrating to them is that we found our self-worth, and that's why it's worth it to us to live such a disciplined life. To people from the world, or from the world, however you want to put it, they see it as a narrow life because they think that you're missing out on all this stuff because you're not partying and you're not going out and spending money and all this stuff, when in actuality you've come to a realization that this discipline, once I master this, will actually give me all of the freedom I'm looking for, because it will give me the foundation to go and be free. Because once I become a master, I go from survival to thrival, and once I'm in the thrival mindset, the baseline is now moving forward instead of just staying alive, right? And that's why leadership is important, because our mind influencing and inspiring our body is the most sustainable way of doing this, because then we're not forcing, we're not manipulating, we're not saying, oh, I gotta do this or I have to do this. It's more like, oh, I get to do this, right? Like you look forward to exercise, you look forward to meditation, you even look forward to really, really tough conversation, right? And even if they don't go well, I'm telling you from personal experience, I've had conversations where at the end, like it could have been a complete disaster. And sometimes it took longer than other times. Sometimes it took 5 minutes, sometimes it took a day, sometimes it took a week. Eventually I was like, damn, there's so many nuggets in what just happened right there, because I learned what my limitations are. And if I have strong leadership skills, now that I know my limitations, I can influence my ego into, instead of holding firm to, oh, this is where I am and this is who I am. We use our influence, our leadership skills to say thank you to our ego for doing its job as part of our feedback system, and saying thank you for reminding me of my limitations. And now I know what they are. I'm just going to go and learn about how to go get above them, right? Because that's what I've been doing over the last year and a half. Every time I hit a roadblock, and since I've been observing myself long enough, it's become easier to figure out what the roadblock actually is. I just go learn about how to get over it, or learn what it's about. And then I just meditate for a while, and then I figure out how I'm going to approach it. And then it eventually becomes another opportunity to demonstrate my mastery of self, instead of some kind of shit that's going to stop me from becoming my best self. So yeah, third week, leadership and our actions. We focus on developing our leadership skills, and we observe our actions for that week to see what we're actually doing, using it to see if it lines up with our goals, right? If I want to be financially stable and I want to have good money management, and I'm going out and, using money that in a way that's not managed properly, then those aren't aligning, right? So I just got to align them and see which one I actually want to do more. So that's just a simple example. So the last week, the fourth week, we're going to be focusing on culture. And the reason why we're focused so much on culture for the last week is because, again, we use our body and our mind as the first business that we have to grow and develop and make successful, right? And what's really going to help that keep sustainable is a culture. And that's why I brought up earlier that we're focused on building a culture of commonwealth where we share with each other. No one hoards anything. We don't even really believe in personal ownership, because ultimately personal ownership creates a blockage in the circulation, right? So if I have something that you need more than I do, I'm going to give it to you, because I understand that if I give it to you and you accept it as, if you want to put it in spiritual terms, if you accept it as your higher self, then you're going to go and use that to go and advance your life. So me believing and subscribing to the concept of we are all one, of course, I'm going to do what I can and do my best to give you what you require in order to advance your life, because you doing well is good for me. Why? Because if we want to put it in low vibe terms, just so you believe me more, is that like, I want to help you get your shit together so you can take care of yourself. Does that make sense? If you want to put it in low vibe terms. In higher vibe terms, it's I see you as myself, so why would I want anything but the best for you, right? Either way you want to put it, same thing. So the culture that we're focused on building is a culture of love, and a culture of sharing, and a culture of deeper comprehension, and focus on building rather than destroying. And again, I'm not going to be naive and say there won't be issues and there won't be misunderstandings and there won't be tension. What I'm saying is that we're focused on learning how to go beyond that by learning skills to make it a better process, right? So again, the big misunderstandings, the big blowups, when the shit hits the fan, perfect opportunity to make a quantum leap and demonstrate our mastery of self. So culture is the fourth and final week. Quick recap. The first week is purpose and our words. Second week is vision and our thoughts. Third week is leadership and our actions. The fourth week is culture. So really quick, I'm going to share the dates with you for the workshop. We're going to be starting Monday, September 30th. So if you want to write them down, take a picture, either way. And it's the instructions if you plan on taking the workshop, because we're going to be spending 28 days observing our words, thoughts, and actions. So every day we're going to meditate for at least 5 minutes, depending on your schedule. Once you're done with your meditation, you're simply going to go to the WhatsApp group chat and put done. We're going to have a sheet of paper that goes with every week. So the first week, we're going to be writing down the words that we're observing ourselves say. The second week, we're going to be writing down the thoughts. And the third week, we're going to be writing down our actions. We're also going to be having a thought of the week, which basically is to say it to ourselves as many times as possible throughout throughout the day whenever it comes up, right? And even if it's only once, that's fine because we're starting the redirection. This workshop isn't about something that's going to happen overnight. We're not looking to do something quick. We're looking to do something sustainable, right? So that's what we're going to be doing for our daily practices. Every week, at the end of the week on Sunday, we're going to be meeting for an hour-long session. The first session is going to be Sunday, October 6th. Then we're going to be talking about purpose. Second Sunday is going to be October 13th. We're going to be talking about vision. Sunday, October 20th is going to be session 3. That's going to be on leadership. And our last session will be October 27th, and that's going to be on culture. And it's all going to be on Zoom. Once again, I appreciate your time. I appreciate your energy. And I look forward to seeing you at the workshop.